When I was a kid, I would sit on the toilet backwards with my chest against the toilet tank, and I'd play with my toys on the tank when I took a boom boom.
When you took a boom boom.
Yeah.
How old were you when you stopped doing that?
Probably like 6 or 7.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Do you ever wish that you still went to the bathroom like that?
No, because now I have to see the door
Oh.
in case, someone breaks in when I'm taking a boom boom.
Oh,
I
okay.
gotta be ready for action.
All right then.
Yeah. You can't leave yourself vulnerable when you're already vulnerable.
Okay.
Anyways. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Kevin Causes Chaos. I think today we're going to talk about some concerts that we've been to and some situations that we found ourselves in at those concerts.
Ooh, yes, juicy.
Stay tuned. What was your very first concert?
My very first concert was Disturbed.
Yamanama.
Yes, Art of Dying and Egypt Central. I don't know if you opened for them. They were both actually like pretty good, but yeah.
I think I've heard of Art of Dying.
Disturbed.
Yeah.
I was 13.
That's
14?
right.
13, yeah.
Arguably better than my first concert.
What was your first concert, Kevin?
It was either, the timelines I was so young.
Yeah.
It was either Backstreet Boys
Yeah.
or Britney Spears.
Nice.
But I was like 6 or 7 back when I was pooping
You were
backwards.
back when I was pooping backwards.
Um,
I saw Britney Spears.
Yeah. My Auntie Darla took me. And then my next concert, I was probably 13 and I went and seen Ozzy Osbourne.
Nice.
And then it was all metal punk shit
Yeah.
after that. So we've each been to a fuck ton of concerts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like 30 plus. Like,
Yeah.
we've been to a lot of concerts.
Yeah.
We don't go to a lot of concerts now because we're old, sore.
It's not even that. It's just nobody comes to Lethbridge.
We're
Like if
antisocial.
we were still in Calgary, we would be going to a lot more.
Yeah.
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 Like we probably would have hit up like the Blackville Brides, Ville Valo. Because why the fuck not?
Tool was just in
Tool
Calgary.
was just in
but
Calgary.
I've never been a big Tool fan.
I've never been a big Tool fan either, but it's still a good bucket list one.
It's a cool show, yeah.
Yeah, it would probably be a really cool show.
You have a good concert story with Steel Panther.
I do.
Yeah.
So, for anybody who doesn't know what the Calgary Stampede is, it's like their big fair, and it's really stupid. Everybody who grew up in Calgary or like grew up going to it, we kind of avoid it now. But they bring in a lot of amazing bands and stuff for that whole like 10 days or whatever. It's the greatest outdoor show on earth. And Steel Panther has been there a lot
Were
for
they playing
Stampede.
like the Coke stage outdoors?
No,
No, it was at a
they
bar,
were.
right?
It was at like a bar tent. It was at like the Budweiser tent
Okay.
outside of. It was downtown. And I went with my ex and our friend, who you know now.
Yeah.
We're still friends with Devin. And it was a lot of guys dressed in their wives' spandex with fucking wigs and like totally Steel Panther style. And we were close to the front and I was trying to get back. I was trying to get out of it because it was insanity.
Mm-hmm.
And I got punched in the face by a 40-year-old man in his wife's fucking spandex.
How exactly did that happen? What did you do to provoke him?
Nothing. I remember.
And it wasn't like an accidental punch.
No. It was like I was trying. You know how you kind of like do that when you're coming to the back.
You're snaking
So you're
out.
trying to like snake, and you're trying not to like piss anybody off because they're all looking at the band, and you're obviously face backwards.
They're trying to get forward.
Yes. So I was just kind of like, and I'm like a little girl, and I'm just like, oh, excuse me, whatever. They can't hear what you're saying, but whatever.
And you would have been like 21.
I would have been 20, 21. And this one guy, when you like run into somebody and you kind of do like the dance? Mm-hmm. It was kind of like that, but it was more aggressive. It was like he wasn't letting me get past. And then I ended up like giving him like a shove, like stood my, like, when you kind of like stand your legs straight.
So you started it. You started
Well,
the fight.
he wouldn't let me by.
I don't
So I
think I've
kind of tried to give him like a shove to the side, like, okay, I'm coming this way.
Right, yeah.
And then he like went forward and punched me. In the face.
In the nose or the eye?
Kind of like up in here.
Did you get a black eye?
I didn't get a black eye, but I did, like, at the time I had TMJ, which is a jaw thing where, like, your joint cements, basically, and it did kick that off really bad for about 3 weeks. It was on and off, and my whole, like, up in here, the temple side was just, like, really sore.
So, like, at a Steel Panther concert, it's probably a little bit harder to tell who's a guy and who's a girl, because we're all dressed
maybe a little
like
bit, because everybody's dressed like very like it felt like being at a drag show, honestly.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but it was definitely a guy, like, had like a million belts on and had like, was it like zebra print, but like pink zebra print spandex, and like the crop, like the really high crop that's all holy and shit. Yeah, it's like a really embarrassing story. But, yeah.
What's the best concert you've ever been to?
That's really hard.
Or just like some honorable mentions?
I loved A Day to Remember both times. Like, I saw them when I was young, and then we saw them last year. And I love that for nostalgic sake, for the fact that I fucking love that band. And it's like emotional for me to go. But I mean, like, I loved, like, Marilyn Manson was cool to see just because I grew up in a very Catholic family that was anti-Marilyn Manson.
And we were both
at that show.
We didn't know each other yet.
No.
I was hella drunk.
That
dome foam.
I was a little messed up at that show, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was able to come out of it before Manson came on.
That's good.
Yeah, so I remember it. But I remember it because Butcher Babies opened, and I remember being like, I need to get out of this. I need to get straight. And I didn't know. I didn't willingly.
Because one of your friends dosed you.
Because I had drunk someone's Red Bull that had, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. You have a lot of good ones.
I have a lot of good concerts, but fucking drama finds me every time I go to a show.
Everywhere you go.
Especially
before we get into drama, is there bands you've seen multiple times?
Yeah.
Like,
I've seen Slipknot a few times. I've seen Killswitch Engage a few times. I think I've seen Guns N' Roses twice.
Cool.
I have a list on my phone, but I did the Warped Tour like 3 years in a row.
You've seen Every Time I Die?
We were at that same show.
We were at that same show.
I seen them just once.
Did you? Oh,
that was the
okay.
only time I've
seen them since
but their
then,
sound was fucked at that show.
Their sound was fucked, yeah.
But I met a little girly at that show. I was thinking about this before we started.
Yeah.
And I was just hanging out on a railing, kind of in the back, watching by the merch booth.
Yeah.
And I had my arms up on the railing, and some girl just whoop up in between my arms and the railing. And we were getting a little fresh. We were getting a little kissy. And I was like, yo, what's your number, baby? Like,
oh my God.
And she's like, yeah, 1 second. Don't let my boyfriend see us making out. And so she was at the concert with her boyfriend. And this is a small venue.
It's a small venue, yeah.
And she was macking on some stranger. I remember she had a rosary tattooed around her neck. Like
That's weird.
What's that? Fucking prayer beads or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen the Main twice. I've seen Arkells twice.
I didn't get her number.
You didn't get
No, I didn't get her number.
We've seen Yellow Wolf twice together. Grandson twice
Did we see
together.
Avatar twice?
Avatar twice together. I've seen Cancer Bats probably 21 times.
Yeah, I've seen Cancer Bats a few times. I skipped my high school graduation to go see Cancer Bats and Bleeding Through by myself at like the underground in Calgary, where it was just fucking rowdy as hell.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I met the singer from Bleeding Through there. That was cool. Like one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
Bleeding Through is fucking awesome.
You saw The Used with My Chemical Romance.
I've seen The Used a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that was before Black Parade. That was when they just put out 3 Cheers.
Yeah.
The Used just put out In Love and Death. And they played Under Pressure together with like the 2 drum kits on stage. And I remember, because emo kids are weird, right? And I think weird shit's funny.
Very weird.
Someone threw a spoon on stage.
Okay.
And Burt McCracken picked up the spoon. And there was a bald security guard. They stand.
Yeah.
and he like very slowly spooned the top
Oh
of
my
this
God.
bald guy's head.
Yeah.
And it was a big thing. And then he crowd surfed, and someone took his shoes, and it was a sick show.
Yeah.
For the emo kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. I saw Suicide Silence before Mitch passed.
I'm jealous. I've never seen them.
At Warped Tour. And then Parkway Drive I've seen a few times. Bring Me the Horizon I've seen a couple times.
I've never seen either of those guys
You
too. I've
haven't
never
seen Bring Me the Horizon?
No.
Oh shit.
No.
They're good. When I saw Bring Me the
I've
Horizon,
seen Oh Shit. That's a local Calgary band. We used to play shows together.
I saw the one time I saw Bring Me the Horizon would have been at McEwen Hall. Yeah. And somebody threw a water bottle at Ollie. And Ollie went to Ollie, right?
Ollie, Ollie.
Ollie is the tattooer. Ollie is
Sure.
Ollie went to jump down, and then he's pretty little, and then their guitar player jumped down, and he went right into the crowd and chased after the guy who threw this bottle. It was like a full water bottle. It wasn't just like whatever. But the whole time, and it was during the song "Fuck," which was hilarious because that's already a really high energy song, and it would have been for the There's a Hell tour.
Yeah.
And the whole time that the guitar player was off trying to find this guy, Ollie was like just talking shit. The band was still playing. Ollie was just talking trash to this fucking guy, calling him a pussy and a cunt, and it was pretty funny. But yeah, they're a good one to see.
Have you ever been kicked out of a concert?
No, but I have left because of you getting basically kicked out.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
okay. We'll get to that one.
Yeah. But I've never been kicked out for like,
Your behavior.
no, no.
Yeah. I've been kicked out for my behavior.
Yes, of course you have. I think no one is surprised.
There was, I think the first time, it was Avenged Sevenfold on the what was after City of Evil? The self-titled, Almost Easy.
Yeah. And
Yeah. So it was that tour, and they had just got their giant robotic death bat
Oh, cool.
with the lights and the wings, and they were going to cover Walk by Pantera. And so there was 2 songs left, and this one crowd surfer, every time he would come over, he would kick. And like the group that I was with was like, fuck this kid with the red Circa shoes. Mm-hmm. Kicks us every fucking time. He like just kicks as he's crowd surfing to the front. And I told my friends, because I was like the older kid. I was like 15. My friends were like 14.
Yeah.
I was like, next time this kid comes past, I'm going to fucking punch him.
Yeah.
And so sure as shit, I get the boot in the back of my head. I look up, see these red Circas, and I fucking punch him once in the back really good. And security is like, nope. And they grabbed me by the wrist and they yanked me out. They pulled me in the back. So I missed the big death fucking bat head.
Oh, no.
I missed, I think, Critical Acclaim.
Yeah.
And a Walk by Pantera.
Fuck.
They took pictures of me. They're like, you're never fucking allowed back here.
Oh, my God.
I've been back there a million times.
Yeah.
I got kicked out of a Hobson show once.
Yeah.
Hobson's a rapper.
Because you were doing what Hobson does.
Well, I was super drunk too.
Yeah.
This was prime
This
party years.
Yeah.
And so I watched a Funk Volume Hobson documentary, and he wanted to bring that punk, metal, rock aesthetic to a hip hop show.
Yeah.
Where you had crowd surfing, you had mosh pits.
Yeah.
And there was like the whole scene in the documentary where they were like amped up to crowd surf.
Mm-hmm.
They were so scared, so nervous to do it. And so they got the crowd going, and they fucking were crowd surfing. And then Hobson got really into doing that shit, and he would climb the rafters, and he would like climb over the crowd and drop into the crowd. And I was like, I'm gonna do that. So there was like a good decent mosh pit going, and I was like, I'm gonna climb this fucking beam up in this bar, and I'm gonna get to the roof, and I'm gonna scale along the roof and drop into the crowd. This is what I planned in my head.
Yeah.
So I'm climbing up this rafter, and the security guard grabs me by my ankle, yanks me down,
Oh my God.
and he's like, get the fuck out of here. And so I'm outside, and there's like the outdoor security that man the door. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, yeah, man, it's kind of bullshit. You guys kicked me out.
Yeah.
I was like, are you going to kick out Hobson if he does that? And they're
Yeah.
like, well, fuck, like, he's not going to do that. And I was like, dude, watch his videos online. He's going to fucking crowd surf. He's going to fucking, like, climb the roof. And I was really just being annoying, just being a little shit. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm really cold out here. I'm like all sweaty.
Just trying to guilt
I'm
trip
all cold.
them.
Yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, my friends are inside and they have my jacket. And, oh, dude, my cell phone's dead and I can't call them. Like, you should let me back in. You should really let me back in. And he gets on his radio and he's like, can the kid with all the tattoos and the ears come back in?
And the ears.
And there's the reply on the radio. And he's like, yeah, tell him to calm the fuck down. So he's like, okay, back in. And I was right back at my bullshit. And then in Red Deer.
Well, we have a couple cancer bats.
Okay, so back to Calgary then.
The first time we saw cancer bats together.
We didn't split. We didn't leave that show.
No, we didn't leave this one. No. But this was the first time we saw cancer bats, and it was the cancer bats Bat Sabbath.
Right.
So bats did their show, and then they came back out as Bat Sabbath
Right.
and did like a second.
So we had just started dating.
Yeah.
And we knew we were going to run into your ex-boyfriend at this show.
We figured it was gonna.
And
We were hoping not. We hoped that he would have enough common sense
to not
go
because that was like your band.
It was, well, I was obsessed with the band. I knew the band, had been on tours like with like it, yeah. And so I was like, oh, maybe he'll be smart and he won't show up. Fucking spoiler alert, this guy's a fucking idiot.
So I had only met him once, and that
Yeah.
was as I was removing his belongings from your
Yes.
house.
Yeah.
I was essentially kicking him out / helping him move his stuff.
Yeah. Which really was like a couple months after I had initially got him out. Like it took
Right.
him forever to get his
Yeah.
stuff out. So yeah.
So there was no drama then.
No.
He was just like, oh yeah, this is in the house here. Go get this
Yeah.
for me. And I did.
Yeah.
And I tried to help him move his shit out. Me and our buddy were moving his TV together. And it's like a big flat screen TV.
Yeah.
And it's like two people should be carrying
Yes,
this. And he
yeah.
ran up and fucking bear hugged it. He's like, I don't need your fucking out. Whatever.
Yeah.
So we're at the concert. I see him come in. And I was like, all right, like, I'm not too drunk yet.
Yeah.
And
no.
he wasn't a drinker.
No.
And he did not like beer. He didn't like booze.
No.
And so I went up to him. I was like, hey, man, we're not going to have any problems tonight, are we? And he was just kind of like, fuck off, leave me alone. Like, immediately
Yeah.
had his guard up. And then he went over to you, and he's like, yeah, fucking your boyfriend's a fucking loser. And he came over to me, and
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, your girlfriend's a fucking loser. And I was like, exactly, my girlfriend. Don't fucking talk to her. Leave her the fuck alone.
Yeah.
And he had two big motherfuckers
Who
with him.
I had never seen.
Right.
I was with him for 3
Like,
years. I
these
had
guys
never
looked like
seen
hired
these two.
goons.
Yeah.
Like, 250 pounder,
no
fucking
idea.
6 feet tall, big ball. They looked like security.
Yeah. No idea where these two came from.
And they were like right behind him.
Yeah.
Like his fucking goons. And we got in some kind of argument. And we were talking shit.
Yeah.
And I basically said, like, you're always down to fucking hit a girl or hit an animal. I'd
Yeah.
like to see you hit me.
Yeah.
And when I said the, like, hit a girl, hit an animal thing, his two goons just kind of
Yeah.
disappeared. They're like, yeah, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
And so I had him buy his t-shirt, and I poured a beer down his shirt. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, fuck off, I'm going to call the cops on you. And my reply was, I just got out of jail like a day ago. I'm not scared.
Yeah.
His
Like, call the fucking cops.
His face turned white,
Yeah.
and he left the concert.
He did, yeah.
Before Cancer Bats played, he just dipped.
He just dipped out.
And he went on Instagram and started taking pictures of a church.
Yeah.
Because
Which
he's not religious.
but he was never a thing.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
I like to say that I scared God into this boy.
Yeah.
But, whatever. And then he, like, texted your friends, and he's like, yeah, I almost killed Kevin.
Yeah.
I almost unalived Kevin. I was like,
Yeah.
bro, not even
Not
close.
even close.
Whatever, cool guy. And I'm aware that I'm not looking good in all these stories either.
Yeah. Well,
So
we've grown up.
I'm stone cold sober now.
Yeah.
I haven't had a drink in over 5 years.
A lot of these instances were fueled by alcohol.
Live and learn, right? Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
different atmosphere. in a concert. You're all
Yeah.
fucking amped up, ready to go. And
Well, exactly. I mean, even like think about, when you go to the Saddle Dome for like a hockey game or something and there's so many people and then the energy is high because you're either stoked to see your favorite band, you're stoked to see your team, there's all this energy, and then you add beer to this mix. And especially at like something like the Saddle Dome where the beer, for some reason, just gets everybody so incredibly fucked up.
it hits like a brick.
It's like you have one, but you've actually drank 5.
Yeah.
And
It has its own legacy. It's
it
called
does.
dome foam.
It's called dome foam.
They've done studies, and they're like, is it because the pipes are dirty? Is it because it has to be pressurized to come up from the basement? Is it because of how old the fucking
whatever it
and
is.
all the studies say that there's nothing wrong with it.
People act nuts.
But yeah, it gets
Like
rowdy.
quick pivot from the concert. We were at a hockey game one time while Kevin was still drinking, and the whole game, he first of all doesn't know anything about hockey, so he's nothing. So he is screaming like offside, icing when they're like fighting. Like it's clearly not, and you can tell the people around us. And we're in Kings jerseys, we're not in Flames jerseys, so we already have like a target on our back. But you can tell the people around were getting more and more frustrated with Kevin as the night wore on. And by the third period, he is like, fucking pussy, fuck it, like just crazy. And the second that buzzer went for game over, Kevin was like, good game, like shaking hands of everybody around us.
And they shook my hand.
And they shook his hand, but like because of the beer and because of the environment,
Right.
like you were just. And it was hilarious. And I mean, as much as there were people pissed off and annoyed with you, there were people that were laughing as well.
Yeah.
But now as a sober person going to these events,
I would have fucking hated.
we
would've
see
hated
people
myself,
acting
yeah.
like that. And we're like, shut the fuck up. Get the fuck out of here.
So there was the one time we're leaving the Saddle Dome at a hockey game.
Yeah.
And some kid sees our jerseys.
Yeah.
And they always go, are you from the States?
Yeah. You from LA?
And I'm like, no, dude, I was born and raised in Calgary right
Yeah.
here. And he's like, oh, yeah, like, where are you from in Calgary? And I was like, Forest Lawn, man. Like, graduated Forest Lawn 2007. And he's like, fuck, dude, I went to Forest Lawn too. Like, Forest Lawn, bro, Forest Lawn. I was like, yeah, dude, sick, cool. So buddy's all, bro, we're Forest Lawn bros. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Like, it's a big rush to get the fuck out. And it's
because
just packed.
people are going usually to the train, which there's a train station right on
Right.
the Saddle Dome. So it's just fucking madness trying to get out of there. Or your parking is just dumb.
So, like, 2 seconds.
So you are elbow to elbow.
2 seconds after buddy was all, like, broing out with me, I bumped into a guy, or he bumped into me, and there was like, hey, what the fuck? Hey, what the fuck? And this guy was looking for a fight.
Yeah.
This guy wanted to fucking fight me. Shit was going to go down. And out of nowhere, this kid comes running, jumps on this guy, and he yells, Forest Lawn! Forest Lawn!
Yeah.
And he just takes this
And he
fight
just
off my
took-
hand.
yeah, it was-
Like, they scrapped, and we just kept on
And we
walking.
just kept going. It
And
was
I was like,
pretty
yo,
good.
sick, thanks, dude. Like, appreciate
That's a rarity when we're out at places.
So back to Cancer Bats concerts and Red Deer. I was drunk. I was in a shit mood. Didn't want to be in Red Deer. Didn't want to drive home from Red Deer.
Also in a very bad mental place in life as well.
Yeah, shit was going down. And how can I make this story quick? I was walking to the bar to get a couple drinks, and as I walked past a cluster of people, Red Deer's tight knit. It's a small town. It's an even smaller scene.
Very small
All these
scene.
people are probably at this bar for every single show.
And I want to add to this too that with Red Deer and Cancer Bats, it is like a cult following.
Yeah.
Red Deer fucking loves Cancer Bats.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm walking to the bar, and someone pushes me from behind, and I turn around, and no one's laying claim to pushing me. And this is away from the mosh pit, so
Yeah.
I figured maybe it was an accident, whatever. I grab 2 bottles of beer, and I'm walking back past this same cluster of people, and I get pushed from behind again. And instinctively, I stick my thumbs into my bottles so they don't overflow and spill them.
Yeah.
And I turn around to see who fucking pushed me again.
Yeah.
And I said, who fucking did it? And this one kid goes, what the fuck are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So I let the pressure out of my bottles, and I just fucking soaked him with beer. And then he goes to his table, and I'm at my table, and they're really close. Like, the tables are beside each other.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to all my friends, and I'm like, this fucking guy right here is a piece of shit. And he's talking to all his friends. He's like, this guy's here is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And now we're like hands on the table, fucking yelling in each other's face. And
Across us, like
this-
us and our girlfriends and stuff.
this kid gave me a fucking brainer.
Yeah.
So the palm of his hand, right to the bottom of my nose, and it just fucking
Blood
exploded
everywhere.
So I get up, I grab him, I throw him on the ground, I cock my fist back to hit him, and there's 20 people on top of me.
Yeah.
And I'm getting hit from like every fucking direction, and people are trying to break it up, and people are trying to add fuel to the fire. And Nikki's got herself in there. Nikki's getting pushed around, and I stand up, and this one guy's holding me, and he was just singing on stage, and he's in a metal band, so he was soaked in sweat.
Yeah.
And I said something rude to him, and now me and this guy are in a fight.
Yeah.
And that broke up really quick. And now there's still tons of people trying to fight me, and I'm trying to get Nikki out of there because she's getting fucking pushed around.
Because I'm trying to get you out of it.
So I grab a bottle off of a table, I flip it upside down.
You were also in a position where you could not get in trouble.
Yeah,
Like, there were serious consequences to be had if anything serious happened.
I was on probation.
He was on probation. So in my head, that's where my mind was. I was like, if he does anything, this is already fucked up enough as it is.
Right.
If he does something any more serious, or if anybody tries to press charges or anything, like, you're fucked. So that's why I was in it as much as I was.
No criminal charges.
No criminal charges.
I am a free man.
But, yeah.
But, so I grabbed this bottle, flip it upside down, and it was like Moses parting the fucking sea. So like, whoosh, suddenly I went from 0 room
to all of
to
the room.
all of the room. I didn't
Yeah.
break the bottle. I didn't
You're
pull one
in
of
the
those.
middle of a
I just
fucking
had the
circle
bottle,
pit.
and I grabbed Nikki, and we're going to walk out, and security stops me, and I'm talking to him, and we're talking loud because it's a loud bar.
Yeah.
And as I'm talking to the security, I just see my blood spattering all over
there was
his face.
so much blood.
And I said something stupid to the security guard.
Yeah.
And we walk out, and I throw the bottle and shatter it
Shattered on the
over a bunch of
side
people that
of
are
the
smoking.
I feel
then-
like all the fighting was happening, and I was like, oh, okay. But I feel like seeing you do that, I was like, oh boy, like, this is far worse. He's in far worse of a mental state than I thought he was.
So
That really was not cool to me.
I should not have dropped my weapon because I got rid of my weapon. And now there's someone outside waiting to fight me. Mm-hmm. And it's like the outsiders, me and this guy are circling off under a fucking street light. And I don't even know if I hit him. But every time this kid was hitting me, it was just like
It was rocking your
me.
world,
And I was
yeah.
like, fuck, like this kid's either super tough
Yeah.
or I'm super drunk.
Yeah.
And so we're spinning off, and then I see a glare in his hand.
Like a shine.
And I was like, oh shit, does this kid have a knife? Have I've been getting
Have you been getting stabbed? And with the adrenaline, you
Right.
wouldn't know. Yeah.
And I realized it was brass
wouldn't click.
knuckles. He
Yeah.
had brass knuckles on. And so I pulled out my chain on my wallet, and it wasn't a dinky little wallet chain.
No, you had like a
I had a
thick,
big,
like
fat, fucking heavy chain.
industrial, like it was, yeah.
And I hit this kid in the face with my chain. And because of all the blood and
Fuck.
sweat, it hit him in the face and wrapped around his face and flew like 10 feet that way. And
Yeah.
it still had my fucking wallet attached to it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck, don't fight me right now. I gotta go get my wallet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I get my wallet, I get my keys, I get Nikki, I go in the car.
At this point, I am texting the friends that we had driven out here with.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys need to get the fuck out here. Like, we gotta go. We are not staying for this concert. We have got to go.
So we peeled out, we went to the gas station, went inside to grab drinks.
Well, there was a guy outside the
waiting
truck
by
with a
the
knife.
car. Yeah, just like
Like-
right on my fucking window.
And then we find out years later that one of the guys in the truck knew this guy.
Yeah, it
It's
was a
so
shit show.
stupid.
But I have a bloody selfie
Yeah.
in a gas station from that night somewhere in my
Yeah.
phone. It might be my old phones.
Fuck.
I'll see if I can dig it up. And then
It was bad.
So drinking stopped shortly after that.
Yeah. Well, no, because then we had to drive back to Lethbridge that night, which is like a 3.5 hour drive.
Okay.
And we, like, Devin was driving, our friend was driving,
Oh, you were mad at me.
and they separated us. They put
Yeah.
Kevin in the back seat and me in the front because I was so mad. We're yelling at each other. I'm like, and like, we don't fight. We don't fight. And when we do have fights, they are very tame
Right.
compared to what I've experienced in past relationships. But this was just like between you being super wasted. So anything that I said didn't matter because you were too drunk to fucking care. But I was so livid just because it was Cancer Bats.
Right.
If it had been a different band, I still would have been mad, but I was embarrassed. That's what it was.
Yeah.
You know, like
100%.
because at that, like, even when we were leaving, like, the guys in the band had come out and we're like, what the fuck is going on? And then we ended up going to see them a couple days later
Right.
in Calgary.
No
and
problems. All
we
good.
cleared it
All
up.
kosher.
Yeah, exactly. But I felt like such a fucking idiot having had this happen and us be in the middle of it. But yeah, we fought the whole way home.
But the day after, do you
Yeah.
remember feeling my head?
Yeah.
My head was covered in bumps.
And
like four bumps
I've
from the
never-
brass knuckles.
And
like
everybody was making such a big deal about this. They were like, fucking brass knuckles. And I didn't find out until like 2 years ago. This happened almost 8 years ago. And I didn't find out until like 2 years ago that brass knuckles are illegal. I don't know
I think
why.
they're illegal in the States and in Canada.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, they're brass knuckles. Like, it sucks. It's shady.
Everyone has them tattooed.
Yeah.
It's totally
Yeah.
fine. It's on jewelry
But
and purses.
Here's my biggest thing with the brass knuckles is that, like, that person brought those to this show
Yeah.
knowing that something could go down, or
That same night,
intending.
did that same kid not bottle a girl in the face?
Yeah, he did.
After we left?
Yeah, someone we know. Yeah.
Yeah, so that kid was just out for shit.
Yeah, exactly. He was like ready to fight.
So I stopped drinking shortly after that.
Yeah.
But we'll go to concerts, and shit still goes down.
I know.
We were at, was it Avatar? And we were at
Yeah.
the Flame
It was the
Central
Palace,
or
yeah.
Palace.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's like the wings, like the balcony you can
balconies,
stand on.
yeah, which we
And that's
love.
where people chill out. They stand
you
there.
stand there.
And it's chill.
Yeah.
And this guy's up there with his girlfriend, and she's drunk as a fuck, and she's going ham up there.
Yeah.
And we're kind of just like maintaining our distance,
Yeah.
holding her back, and she pushes back into us, and she's trying to like mosh where old
On
people
a
stand and
balcony.
sit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said something. I was like, "Yo, if you're gonna try to fucking go like crazy, just go down there, man. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
That's
like,
where people are
chill out up
having
here."
that
And
kind of
her
fun.
boyfriend tripped.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm gonna throw you off this fucking balcony."
And there's no security up on these
No.
balconies. And I think when it comes to shows like that at that venue, they need to have people up there on either end because it
'Cause I almost
is
got thrown the fuck
very
off.
dangerous. Well,
Like,
yeah. Like when you think about, I mean, it's not the biggest fall, but they also have railings down there. Like there's so much shit that
To
somebody could
land
get
on.
seriously fucking
Yeah.
hurt on.
Yeah.
And even like you're at the balcony and right off of it is all the sound, like the soundboard is there. You have all the equipment. Like
Yeah.
it's just not. And like
That didn't
if-
escalate into anything physical.
No, it didn't.
It got de-escalated pretty quick.
But like go hang out in the mosh pit if you're gonna mosh, man.
I seen Slipknot
Yeah.
the first time. We were underage,
Yeah.
and we, made friends with the people that were sitting beside us.
Yeah, as you do.
And during Spit It Out, Slipknot does the whole jump the fuck up thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they get everyone on the floor to crouch down on their
Yeah.
knees, and when he says jump the fuck up, you jump the
You
fuck
jump
up.
up.
You go crazy.
Yeah.
But he empties the seats too. So he goes from side to side,
Oh, so
get the
if
fuck
you're-
down
yeah,
here.
okay,
So
yeah.
we were up in the seats,
Yeah.
and we're like, let's fucking go. Like we were watching people rush the gate
Oh,
and rush
rush the-
security.
yeah.
And so we're all hopping over the fence.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember jumping over the fence, and security caught my ankle, and I fell on the other side and
Oh,
smoked my
man.
head on the concrete super hard. But I got up and ran into
You were
the
like,
crowd
I'm
right
going
away.
for it. Yeah.
And so I stayed down for a song or two down there. And I kind of was around my friends, and I was like, yo, should like someone go check on our coats and our bags and our shit?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, that's fine. I was like, I'm going to go look.
Yeah.
So I fucking fly up there. I go back to our seats, and there's a guy that has everybody's coat in his arm.
'Cause
My
he's-
coat, Will's coat, fucking whoever's coat.
Yeah.
The chicks we were with. And I was like, oh, dude, hey, that's my coat. I was like, hey, that's my friend's coat. And I was like, give me all these fucking coats. What are you doing?
Yeah. You're like,
And
fuck
yeah,
you,
Buddy
man.
was trying to steal all the shit from people that left.
Oh, that's so fucking stupid.
yeah, it was fucked. But Will caught a drumstick
That's
from
cool.
Chris Fenn that
Who
night.
like so you met Corey
I
Taylor,
met Corey Taylor, the
and he
singer
was,
of Slipknot.
He was a douche.
He was kind of rude.
He was ego.
Okay, so it was cold out. It was winter.
Yeah.
I was like 14, and I'm like fucking the Eminem song. Waited in the blistering cold for 4
Yeah.
hours, whatever. And so I'm out there freezing my ass off, and I
Yeah.
see him, and I'm like, yo, come sign my shit. And he's like, yeah, I'll be right out. I'm just going to go on the bus really quick. So he goes on the bus for like another 2 hours. And I'm like, fuck, I'm freezing out here. I'm like pale and snotty. And then he comes back out, and I was like, yo, come sign my shit. And he comes up, and he's like, it's fucking cold up here, man. He's like, if I get fucking sick, it's your fucking fault and you're going to ruin the show. And I was like, I don't give a fuck if I ruin the show. Take a picture with me with my shitty Motorola Razr.
Yeah.
Sign my fucking CDs.
Yeah.
So I got the classic Corey Taylor flipping off the camera.
Yeah.
But I look like so cold and emo.
Yeah. It's a pretty sad picture.
Yeah. But I met the guys from Trivium a fuck ton.
Yeah.
And the guys from Trivium are some of the nicest dudes I've ever met. It was Trivium, Lamb of God, and a couple other bands were playing. And we met the guys from Trivium before the show. And we would always go and meet them every time we seen them. Probably like 6 or 7 times,
Yeah.
me and Troy seen them. And I would get their newest album signed. And so we talked to them for a bit, and we're like, yo, like, do you want to have some drinks after the show? And they're like, fuck yeah, sure, meet us after here, and we'll have some drinks. So we go inside, we watch Trivium play their set, and then we left after Trivium finished playing before Lamb of God started playing. And we seen them out around the buses, and we're like, yo, do you want to like go have some drinks? And they're like, we're going to go back inside and watch Lamb of God play, and then we'll go have some drinks.
Yeah.
And they're like, come back inside, watch Lamb of God. And we're like, oh, dude, we can't. There's no re-entry.
Because you can't, yeah. Which is so
And
stupid.
Matt, the singer of Trivium, is like, dude, I got you.
Yeah.
So he comes
That's
back
so
in
cute.
through the front doors, walks past all these people that are like
Flashes his
fucking
little-
screaming his name and
Yeah.
shit. And he goes to security and he pulls his backstage pass. And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, my friends say you won't let them back in. That's,
Yeah.
He called us his friends.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And
You're
of
like
course,
freaking
security's
out.
like, oh
yeah.
no, of course they
yeah.
can come in. And that was like the nicest thing I've had a musician
Yeah.
do. Jim Root from Slipknot and Stone Sour sat out and talked to us for probably like
That's
2
so
fucking
nice.
hours one night. Dave Grohl from Nirvana and Foo Fighters. We met him. I was so young. I was like, 13, 14. I didn't know the greatness of the person I was in.
That is Dave
Yeah,
Grohl.
I was like, oh, this guy's fucking nice. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That doesn't surprise me
But
at
he
all.
took pictures. He was funny. There was a hole in the fence, and he was pretending to crawl through the fence for the pictures. And he was
That's
just
so
so
cute.
nice. I met the guys in Chimera. I met a bunch of the guys in Whitechapel. So many other bands. But Dave Grohl and Jim Root were the nicest
like,
musicians
yeah.
I've ever met.
I haven't met a lot.
Because
I'm too scared.
you're too scared.
But I like Warped Tour. There was like obviously
That's when they
because
go to their booths.
sign
Yeah.
exactly. But I remember when I went to Warped Tour, it would have been 2010 or 11. No, 10 probably. Pierce the Veil was getting bigger.
Okay.
I had probably heard some songs, but I wasn't like a fan yet. Like I love
Right.
them now. But I went with my one girlfriend and we had gotten separated and I was like kind of doing the loop trying to find her. It was hot as fuck. I ended up getting like heat stroke there and like woke up side stage to the casualties because that was like where the tent was, the medic tent. But anyways, I'm looking for my friend and I'm looping and then I like this guy at the Pierce the Veil tent was like, just stay in one spot. Like I've seen you walk by a million times. You're looking for your friends. Stay here. Sit here. Eventually you'll see her, right? And I'm like stupid because I'm young. I'm like, okay, yeah. And I'm sitting there and he's like talking with people selling merch.
Right.
And all these girls are like very clearly glaring at me. And I'm like young, I'm very shy. I'm a very timid, shy person. And I'm just like, fuck, like what did I do? I don't know why I didn't put it together. I must have just the heat stroke and everything. And then I looked under the table and there are these posters. And I'm like, oh fuck. Because I'm sitting next to the fucking singer of Pierce the Veil.
Right.
So of course girls are glaring at me, right? And I'm just like, okay, I gotta go now. So
Yeah.
I like dipped out. But we also met Parkway Drive at Warped Tour. And, we did like, they were like signing our shit. So it wasn't, it was kind of like basic shit. But then a couple of the guys in Parkway were like, yeah, what are you girls doing after? And I was like, going back to the hotel with her dad because we're 15 years old, which like at that time we didn't talk about
Stranger danger. It was just stranger danger.
We didn't talk about grooming.
Yeah.
Back then, tons of 15-year-old girls would have been fucking stoked if a band was like, what are you doing? Like, it was what it was. It was a much different time than it is now.
Yeah.
And like thinking back on that, I'm really happy that I had the brains and the self-awareness to be like, no, we're not doing this. Like, because obviously so many young girls did not go that route. But I remember that, like, as much fun as I had at Warped Tour.
Did you go to the Calgary Warped Tour?
Edmonton.
Okay.
Yeah. It was the first year they didn't do Calgary.
Oh, shit.
And they only did Edmonton. Yeah. So we went to Edmonton. But I definitely, like, as much fun as I had at Warped Tour, I definitely feel like it was a very dangerous place for young girls who weren't with a group of friends or with other guys in their group, because there was a lot of even just like getting stuff signed where, like, looking back, I'm like, yeah, that was like an inappropriate thing to say to a fan, to a young girl. Like, it was just, and Warped Tour has so many accusations that have come out since about this shit happening. We all know it. We've all heard it.
Maybe they were just genuinely curious. But there's been no, like, reports about anything from that band, because that's happened to a million bands.
Yeah, it has happened to a million bands, and I've never.
But they're Australian, right?
They are Australian.
I would have fucked them.
Oh my god.
I would have taken it.
Look, I was a very sheltered girl. I had a boyfriend that I had been dating for like 2 years at that point.
It's long term.
So, well, I was, and I remember I was like, at that time, I liked Parkway, but I wasn't crazy about them, and like, my friend's boyfriend and my boyfriend were like best friends. That's how I knew the girl I went with. And I remember, like, we were there like getting shit signed for the boyfriends.
Yeah.
And I just remember I was like, nope, sorry, like, I have a boyfriend. So stupid.
Me and my homie went to Warped Tour one year, and our friend, because we were broke ass kids, we spent the only $40 we had on tickets.
Yeah.
If we're lucky, we're gonna buy a couple t-shirts.
T-shirts were so cheap at Warped Tour.
But food was expensive.
Food was expensive, yeah.
And our homie was working the food concession, and we go up and we're like, yo, dude, fucking give us any deals? And he's like, yeah, come around the back of the tent. So we went around the back of the tent, and he emptied out his pockets, because you had to pay for tickets, and you paid for food and tickets.
Yes. Yeah.
And he unloaded hundreds of tickets onto us.
Oh my God,
and we're
that's
like, dude,
amazing.
we couldn't use these tickets in a week.
Yeah.
So we ate all we could fucking eat, and then we just went around handing out tickets, and people were like, who are these tiny emo guardian angels? Just gave me like $80 worth of free food.
Yeah.
It was fucking sick.
Well, and I remember like bottles of water. You weren't allowed to bring any water in, but bottles of water were
I would sneak my spiked bracelets in. I'd put them in my shoes. I'd put them in my underwear.
Yeah.
And just like strap back.
Well, fuck, do you remember the list for when we were young?
That was ridiculous.
We didn't go.
Right, yeah.
I really regret not going.
Umbrella.
But you couldn't bring anything in.
Couldn't bring
It was ridiculous.
any recording devices.
Yeah, well, it's not like we don't all carry one.
When I went to Warped Tour the first time, I was probably 13. So I think it was 2003.
Just a baby.
And one of my friend's older sisters was like our
chaperone.
Well, she was like the one that got us into punk and heavy metal and shit.
She was the influence.
Shout out Kendra. And yeah, she took us there, and I went and seen like Bowling for Soup and fucking a bunch of bands. I didn't even know who I was watching at that time. Like, I was so young.
Yeah.
But I remember I really wanted to see Andrew WK.
Oh my God.
This is when he only had that first album out with
All
She
White.
Is Beautiful,
Yeah.
All White, Dirty Clothes. He would never wash his clothes. That was his shtick, right?
Gross. Yeah.
And I was like, I want to see Andrew WK. And she's like, Andrew WK is a dirty piece of shit. He doesn't wash his clothes. He's on at 9 o'clock, and we're leaving before that because there's no one else I want to see.
Man, that would have been
And I
like the
was so
height
mad.
of Andrew WK. Hey?
I was so mad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But whatever. She took me to like, and then the next year we went by ourselves. And the next year the Edmonton have the water jug, the massive water jug that everyone would drink from until it's about halfway full, and it was easy to tip over.
Oh, and then it makes a mud pit. Yeah.
And then you see the people are just covered in
mud.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like the only festival-ish thing I've ever gone to.
It was different.
It was only one day, but I've never gone to an overnight festival.
I think it was a different time, and I think that not just for Warped Tour, but I think concerts in general. I think when you go to concerts now, the crowd is much different. Yeah. I think concert etiquette is out the fucking window for punk, metal, hardcore shows.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if that's because the younger generation coming in just like weren't raised with it maybe the way that we were. Like someone goes down, you pick them up right the fuck away. They don't even hit the ground before you're helping them up. Even just like mosh pit etiquette, it's like there's so many people that go to shows now that think that like the mosh pit is just to be violent
fucking
and hurt.
Hardcore shows, man.
Oh, hardcore shows were the worst.
I've gone to a few hardcore shows, and there's that guy that's trying to fucking like hardcore dance into punching you in the fucking face.
But there's talk right now, like on TikTok and stuff like that, where you have a lot. Well, prime example is like Bad Omens. I don't know their music very good. I have it sometimes, like I have it on the playlist. It comes through sometimes. But they have like one song that got really fucking big on TikTok, and it's not super heavy. But because this song blew up on TikTok, now all these people are going to Bad Omens concerts. And they have no idea what they're getting themselves into because they think it's kind of alternative, but kind of chill. And then they hear the rest of the set. Yeah. And then they're like, oh my God, why is it so violent? Well, and it's like, it's not. But then they think that it's real violence and they like go into the pits and are fucking assholes.
That's how the Stampede was. The Stampede is not.
Billy Talent is one of the most intense crowds I've ever been in, strictly because it was Coke Stage at Stampede. Everybody's fucked up and they've been in the heat all day.
They're not concert goers.
And they're not concert goers.
They're drunk.
Amazing.
And there happens to be a concert.
Amazing band live. I wish we would have seen them this weekend. I really wish we would have went on Saturday. So good, but that crowd was fucked in the head.
For me, it was, I think, 3 Days Grace and Finger 11 at the Stampede. God. And it was like, these are radio rock bands. This should be chill.
I would love to see 3 Days Grace, but
shit
it's
was
not
fucking
the same.
nuts. And it was I think they only had one single out. Yeah. It was just I Hate Everything About You.
Well, fuck. I saw Lights on the Coke Stage, and that was a fucked up crowd. Like, Lights. She's chill.
I have a Billy Talent story.
Okay.
I was in high school, and my friend was taking one of his final exams, and I was like, fuck yeah, like, let's go do your final exam. I'll just be a fucking cringy piece of shit and hang around the school while you do your exam. I'll probably like skateboard outside or whatever. And we were going to go and get drunk after.
Yeah, as you do.
And yeah, it was, final exams, fucking, if you're not, whatever. So he goes off, he writes his exam. I'm walking through the school like I'm king shit. And the principal's like, yo, Kevin, come in my office. And I was relatively a good kid in high school. I've never been suspended. I've never been expelled. Shit would go down, but I would talk my way out of it. I'd be like, yo, listen, I didn't start this fight. This is what happened. I stood up for myself, or whatever the case may be. I was a shit disturber, but I was still pretty good.
But you were respectful.
And so he pulls me in the office and he goes, hey, what's fucking Hostile? And I was like, fucking Hostile is a Pantera song, man. And he's like, yeah, it's also your this is 2005, 6.
Oh no.
YouTube's new. And he's like, it's also your YouTube username. I was like, uh-oh. Because we would hang out in the stairwell at lunch.
Just fucking around,
and we would put fucking gravy on the back of the door handles so kids got gravy on their hands. If a kid we knew came through the stairwell, we would fucking wrestle and fucking...
Oh my God.
We used to like take their clothes and put their clothes up on this like copper pipe. We wouldn't strip them bare.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Take his like shoes and his hat. And
that's still really fucked up.
And we put them on this copper pipe and make them like shimmy out to get their shit.
Oh my God.
And they're risking like a 16-foot fall. And we're just sitting there laughing our asses off.
Of course. It was a different time.
But sometimes
2000s were wild.
There were some bro teachers that were pretty chill that would come through and we'd like pretend to wrestle with the teachers. And my friend was recording all of this on his digital camera because we didn't have cell phones.
Amazing.
And he would put it online using my YouTube account.
Yeah.
And he chose the titles of all these videos.
Oh,
and
no.
the titles of the videos were Forest Lawn is Bad. Because it had a bad rep,
Yeah.
but it wasn't really that
It
bad.
wasn't, no.
So it was like a joke of a title.
Yeah.
That's not how the principal saw it.
No.
The principal saw it as us filming people without their permission.
This was Jackass era as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So this was, everybody was recording every dumb thing they did
Right.
because we thought Bam Margera and Johnny Knoxville were cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was nothing major.
No,
Like,
yeah.
maybe
We had
threw
the
some
same
shoes
shit,
at some
yeah.
kids. But he's like, yeah, this is also your YouTube username. And if you don't go home and get these videos taken off the internet within the next 24 hours, you will be expelled.
Oh, fuck.
And I was like, fuck. And he's like, all right. Cool. I was like, cool. Yeah, I'll get them taken
All right,
off.
I'll take them down.
And he's like, and you have social studies with Mr. Adamson next semester, and he also wants to talk to you.
You're like, what the fuck?
So he's like, I suggest you go to his class and see what he wants with you. And I was like, shit, man. I'm getting this shit
Like,
left
what
and
the
right.
fuck?
We're supposed to be
Like,
chill.
I don't even have to be here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I go to Mr. Adamson's class, and I was like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I've got you for social studies next semester. I was like, cool. He's like, you're kind of the resident punk rocker. And I was like, sure, man.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
I got tattoos. I got piercings. I got fucking spiked jewelry.
Yeah.
And he goes, I have 2 tickets to Anti-Flag, Rise Against, and Billy Talent at the Saddle Dome for
Such
tonight.
a good lineup.
And he goes, I want you to have them. And I was like, fucking sick. So my
Who
buddy gets out of his
does
test,
that?
and I was like, okay, we got to go home. I got to delete my YouTube channel. We're going to get drunk, and we're going to go to Billy Talent, Rise
That's
Against, and
so.
Anti-Flag.
That is like.
And it was a sick show.
an amazing lineup. That's like.
Yeah, 3 great bands.
Incredible
3
lineup.
headliners.
Yeah.
Like,
oh,
yeah,
easy.
yeah.
Yeah. Also, like to get that from a teacher, like
Totally free.
nobody.
So
yeah.
I was
no.
good as gold
That's
in his
amazing.
class next
yeah.
semester.
Oh yeah. You were like, I'm gonna be the best student you've
Yeah.
ever had in your entire career.
Yeah, maybe not
Yeah.
that good. What is a band that you didn't give a fuck about until you seen live, and then you were like, fuck. I wish I cared more about them because I wish I knew the lyrics
Yeah.
while I seen them. I wish I would have bought all the merch while they were there.
So many. Avatar was one.
Right.
That I remember the first time we saw them, they were opening for Trivium.
I think so.
Yeah. And I don't like circusy things. It freaks me out. So their whole setup is incredible. They put on
we seen
such
Kiss
a
together,
good
too.
show. Oh yeah, we saw Kiss together.
Did our
We had like
makeup.
our own Detroit Rock City day.
Yeah.
We decided the morning of that we wanted to go to Kiss and we were gonna find tickets no matter what. Actually, that's a really funny story too. Before we get into that, if you want to check out our new merch, we have these super cool new t-shirts that you should definitely check out. The link is in the bio on YouTube. Don't zoom in, I can zoom in when I'm editing.
Okay, I just
What are you doing? Yeah, check them out. Links in my bio. They're super limited. We didn't get a lot of them printed, but check that out. So Kiss. Yeah, we decided the morning of, they were in town for the Stampede again, fucking
Yeah.
Stampede. And we were like, we want to go to Kiss. We are going to find tickets. We're going to do this. We
Went online.
went online, talked to a guy.
Met him at the shadiest, I think,
Shadiest.
White Court. I think it was.
So shady. The
And-
7-Eleven, right?
Yeah,
Ugh.
and Buddy's on foot, and I expected, because I'm getting old, I expected to go there, give him cash, and get tickets in hand.
Tickets printed out even,
Right.
but tickets.
Even
physical.
printouts, I would have said no.
Yeah, well, I know, but yeah.
So homie rolls up and he's like, yeah, just like take a screenshot of my phone, and that's my ticket. And I was like, how do I know you're not going to get to the place
the
before
venue
me?
and yeah.
And he's like, no, just trust me, man. And I was like, dude, fuck you. I'm
I
gonna
don't
find
really have a
someone
lot
that
of trust in
has
people.
tickets on hand.
Yeah.
So we found someone's tickets on
Yes,
hand.
we did.
But then,
We didn't get we got them for a really good price too.
Nikki
but-
doesn't have enough photo ID.
Wah, wah.
And it was adults
I
only.
had just changed my name. We'd
Yeah.
gotten married. So when you change your name and you have to change your ID, they take your ID.
And the temporary paper
the
license
temporary-
never works.
It won't
I've seen
work
people
for a
try a million
concert.
fucking times.
So we're in this oh fuck moment because I would have been 22 And although I was pretty heavily tattooed, I had my face tattooed and stuff. That never like it,
Doesn't mean
they don't
shit.
care. It
Right.
doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So we kind of had a freak out about this.
But we had two friends
We had
that were
two
going
friends
with
that
us.
were coming with us.
So we painted everybody's face,
I did everybody's makeup super good. It was probably one of the best makeups there
and
besides
our
us
one
themselves.
friend had gone to Blink-182
Yes.
a night or two before and happens to find
Yeah.
a young woman's
ID.
driver's license ID.
Yeah.
And so we're like, fuck it.
Let's
Might as
try.
well try.
We might as well try. It was the same. She was the same year as me. So
But she didn't look like
she did
you.
not look like me
But
at all.
you had kiss makeup
but I
on.
had kiss makeup on.
And so they're scanning your ticket, and I'm in the
Yeah.
other line watching.
Yeah.
And the lady goes, huh, I wouldn't even be able to tell if this was you or not. Here you go. Have a nice day.
And my heart in that moment, because I don't like confrontation. I really don't like getting into trouble. That is still something that I've held on to.
Nikki doesn't like breaking the law.
I don't like breaking.
Shout out Breaking the Law. I've seen Judas Priest live. Monsters of Rock.
No, I was really nervous. And so when she said that, I swear, like, heart into stomach, I felt like I was going to vomit. And then I was like, Kevin, like, we got back together there. And I was like, run. Like, but then we, like, made friends with a bunch of other people in kiss makeup. And it was really fun. Like, it was a really good show.
Yeah.
But other bands that I saw open and wasn't
Right,
into,
yeah.
Grandson was a big one for me. We saw him open for Avril Lavigne a couple years ago now.
Sweet concert.
Stop. You had fun. It was Modson, Grandson, and Avril. I don't care.
Grandson, cool. Modson, awesome. Avril Lavigne, I know the lyrics. I've heard all the music.
Is a classic.
I can't believe how many full grown ass men
Loved her.
were going ham at
for
fucking Avril Lavigne.
Yeah. But it was good. I mean, once you got past the chipmunk sound at the beginning, because that was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But Modson opened first. I love Modson. That was kind of the main reason we went.
Right.
Was because I really wanted to see Modson. And we knew, like, I knew Bloodwater because everybody kind of knows that one. That's so big. And then Grandson did a song with Mike Shinoda off that album, which was such a good album.
That would be sick. Like, you're never going to see
So
Linkin Park
good, I
live,
know.
but seeing Mike Shinoda even would be sick.
But for me, with Grandson, it was the stage presence.
Yeah.
Like that 100%. He is so into it. I love the, like, Grandson versus X, like the alter ego kind of battle that you see happen on stage. I thought that was really cool. And then he covered Britney Spears when we saw him the first time. He did that acoustic Baby One More Time, which is super cool. We've seen him again since. And then last time we saw Grandson, actually, No Love for the Middle Child. I've played them a shit ton here
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
or him, because he brought like the
What
cello
about, what's
out.
that fucking band? I can't remember the name right now. Homies that opened up for Day to Remember.
Oh my God, don't get me started on Movements. I
Movements.
love Movements. Because it was Magnolia Park and then Movements they used in A Day to Remember.
Right.
And I had known, like, I knew Magnolia Park's, like, I kind of knew some of their
Right.
big hits because it was all over TikTok and Instagram. And I was like, yeah, Magnolia Park is really cool. I feel like they're breaking a lot of like these boundaries that people have upheld in punk and stuff for so long in alternative. So I love that. But then Movements, I had kind of checked their stuff out before we went. And I was like, cool. Like
Right.
another, just another one of these bands. Seeing them live, though, completely changed because they're heavier live,
Right.
for one.
Yeah.
I loved the, like, disco balls they had going. Then because Cherry Thrill had just come out, and I love that song. That's a really good one. But then this new album that just came out, like, it's one of my top albums of the year. I
Yeah.
fucking love it so much. And I would love to see them again. They're, like, if they come to Calgary, like, I
Right.
will instantly buy tickets. Yeah.
I think 3 bands for me that I didn't really care about until after I saw them
Yeah.
would be Seether. I seen Seether live,
So
and
good.
again, they were so much heavier live.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was
But
such a cool
his
stage
voice,
show.
I've never seen them live. I've like obviously watched live
Right,
videos and
yeah.
stuff. It seems like his voice is so just unique live.
Yeah,
Like
I think
so
Caesar
good.
gets a lot of shit for their radio songs,
Yeah.
and people write them off.
No.
But they've got such
No, they're so
good
good.
shit. They're
yeah,
amazing.
I've been listening to them since I was like 13.
And then Whitechapel. I seen
yeah.
Whitechapel, and I was like, yeah, you know, I'm kind of into Suicide Silence.
yeah.
Not really into Whitechapel.
Yeah.
Seen the live show, and I was like, fuck.
Like, what the fuck?
And then I'm standing there, and I think we were watching like Cannibal Corpse or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the singer is standing right beside me. No one's bugging him. No one's talking to him. No one else is around us. We're just kind of standing behind the mosh pit watching, like shoulder to shoulder. I don't know why he was standing so close to me.
Okay. Yeah.
And I turned and I was like, hey, dude, sick show. Like, fucking
Yeah.
killed it. And he's like, oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
And then I went home and I got balls deep into him. And I was like,
Yeah.
fuck. I was standing
should've-
right beside him.
I am so
should've-
upset
yeah.
about not buying merch
And then-
specifically for the movements.
And then
yeah.
Avatar again,
Yeah.
just like you said. Like I heard a couple songs, was like, yeah,
And
whatever. And then
They're quirky.
they're so cool on
And
stage.
it's on stage.
The eye contact.
The eye contact.
They're
is,
like fucking masters of that.
Yeah.
They're
And I feel like they are doing something so different with their characters as far as like obviously we know bands that do this. There's Slipknot, there's Kiss,
gimmicky
like
bands, yeah.
gimmicky bands. But there's something about their characters that feels so genuine.
yeah.
Like it feels like especially when you watch their acoustic sets where they're dressed in their Hawaiian clothes.
Yeah.
And they're like super funny.
They
like
just put out like official Hawaiian shirt merch.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
But there's something about the characters that they get into when they're playing live that is so intriguing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so impressive that they uphold it the whole time. Like the whole king thing where the one guy's the king. And
Right.
like we saw them walking down the street when everybody was lined
start
up.
bowing and
the
shit.
whole, everybody in line started like, oh, hail the king and shit. Like that is super cool to see live. The makeup, the costumes, the props, like that shit's fucking crazy.
So Metallica is one of the biggest bands in the
Yes.
world.
I have actually never seen Metallica, which I feel like
I've only seen them
I
once.
really need to.
And my homie Troy is balls deep into Metallica, like one of the biggest Metallica
Loves
fans.
Metallica
He's
so
been
much.
like in the official Metallica
Yeah.
fan club forever. And it was the Death Magnetic tour, probably 2015, maybe. I think that's right.
The year before we met.
Maybe it was a little older. I can't remember what year it was.
Time is weird,
yeah.
man. Yeah.
So Death Magnetic tour.
Yeah, okay.
Me, Franklin, Will, and Troy all went, and we got early access tickets through Troy's fan club thing.
yeah.
And our tickets were special. They had the album art on them.
Oh, that's cute.
So we got let in earlier.
Yeah.
So we got front row.
Sick.
And Lamb of God opened up, and halfway through Lamb of God, Franklin's like, yeah, I gotta go take a shit. And we're like, dude, you can't. You'll never get back to the front.
Yeah, there's no way.
And he's like, I don't fucking care, whatever.
Of course he didn't.
And
yeah.
like, okay, fuck, whatever. See you, buddy.
Bye.
So Franklin dipped, didn't see him again. So it's me, Will, and Troy, front row for Metallica.
Yeah.
And Troy has a sign. And his sign says, Lars, can I play the drums? And I was like,
Yeah.
Troy, man, that's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
I was busting his balls. I was like, this isn't wrestling. Why'd you bring a sign? And
isn't a fucking hockey
he goes,
game."
fuck you, Kevin. You're stupid.
yeah.
He goes, I know that every day to this tour, Lars has got someone from the crowd with a sign to come on stage and do the pss, 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 pss on the drums for Seek and Destroy, the last
Yeah.
song they play. He gives them the stick and they get off stage. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm going to get on stage with Metallica. I'm going to get the drumsticks and you're going to be jealous.
Yeah.
And so they're playing back-to-back dates in Calgary. I only had tickets for the first show.
Yeah.
Troy had tickets to both.
Of course Troy did.
And so Seek and Destroy comes and goes. It's the last song of the night, and he did not get pulled on stage. And I was like, dude, sucks to be you.
Bummer.
And then Lars walks over to us, and he goes, yeah, it smells like shit over here. And I was like, that's me.
That's
Like,
me. I smell like shit.
I'm very smelly right now. And he looks at Troy's sign, and he goes, if you're in the same spot with the same sign tomorrow night,
night.
I will get you on stage. So the next night
At this
comes,
point, Troy pees his fucking pants.
1 a.m., Troy sends me a YouTube video. Kid gets on stage with Metallica. And I'm pretty sure this picture is framed in his house right now.
Oh, for sure.
With the drumsticks.
Yeah.
But my best friend got to go on stage with Metallica.
Yeah.
And play the drums. And apparently security was like, go to the drums, do your thing, get the fuck off the stage. If you go near James, we're taking you the fuck out.
Yeah.
And that's one of the coolest stories
And I
ever.
feel like that is the best moment of Troy's life. I don't think a lot could beat that for somebody who's that big of a fan of a band that big.
Getting on stage
like,
with one of the biggest bands in the
yeah,
world. Like,
that's-
there's shows where it's like, yeah, fucking, you can play this song on guitar, come on stage.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
Like Paramore always brings someone up to do Misery Business with them. That's
Yeah.
kind of a thing. Like,
But usually it's like a little kid. They get
Yeah,
like a kid to
yeah,
come up because that
exactly.
fucking skyrockets those YouTube
Oh,
videos.
God. Yeah, everybody cries
But,
about it.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been good enough.
I just saw that video of the kid who went to Slipknot with his dad, and the kid's like he's got the Corey mask, and he's got the like jumps, and he's like crowd surfing on his dad's like stomach. He's like standing on his dad's stomach, and he's just having like the time of his life. That's really cute.
Their new drummer
Yeah.
was a fan since he was a kid.
That's so
And there's a
cool.
picture of him backstage because his dad is the new drummer is Jay Weinberg. His dad is Max Weinberg, who is in a band, but he was the drummer on the Conan O'Brien show.
Oh, cool.
And so he was rich, famous, and he took his kid backstage to this, and this kid's like young, dressed in full Corey Taylor gear.
Aww.
Got a picture with him in the band.
That's like such
But
a
they reenacted
full-
it once he became a member of Slipknot.
That's cute.
It's super cute.
That's such a full circle moment, you know?
Right?
Like, because like you never think
that you're going to become a
that
member
you're
of your
gonna
favorite
become-
band.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Like it's,
Yeah.
you don't, yeah.
Yeah.
Or even like just when you think about like dreams that you had as a kid and like you grow out of that. A lot of people grow out of the
Right.
things that they're passionate about or the things that they like. Like we always joke like it's not a phase, Mom, but for a lot of people it is a phase.
Yeah.
You know, you don't love that band for the rest of your life. You're not into these things for the rest of your life, so that's like a really cool thing for him to kind of have.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of Kevin Causes Chaos. I appreciate it if you've made it this far. If you have, why not fucking hit that Patreon button? Check that shit out. There's like early access to the videos and like bloopers and some shit like that. Check out the new merch. Like and subscribe. Share, comment. Do that
It
stuff.
doesn't cost anything to like and subscribe. So we're going to have to figure out something for Kevin to do once we hit like X amount of followers.
Crack.
No!
No.
Oh my God.
Terrible idea.
Kevin will
I
not
was
do
joking.
that.
I was
I
joking.
was thinking like eat a carrot or something.
Fuck a carrot. I'm not eating a carrot.
Do like Kevin eats vegetables and gags the whole time.
I'm not going to eat vegetables. Terrible. Terrible idea. Thanks for watching. And politely go fuck yourself.